With this closed session for Barstow City Council, Barstow Fire Protection District for April 7th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. If everyone could please stand and follow me in our Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart and ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, may we have the roll call, please?
Yes, roll call is complete and all members are present.
Thank you. Participation is invited. If you wish to be heard on any item on the agenda, including any item on the consent calendar, please so indicate by filling out a speaker request card and hand it to the city clerk prior to the agenda item being addressed. If special accommodations are required, a 48-hour notice must be given to the city clerk. Code of Ethics. As your elected governing board, we will remember the Code of Ethics that we voluntarily and unanimously approved. During this meeting, we'll treat each other and the public with patience, civility, and courtesy. The decisions made tonight will be for the benefit of the Barstow community and not for personal gain. Public closed session. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the governing board on matters on the closed session agenda and within the city's jurisdiction. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes or less. All requests to speak must be received prior to the agenda item being addressed, and if special accommodations are required, a 48-hour notice must be given to the city clerk. Madam Clerk?
We have no comment.
With that, I'll call for a motion to go into closed session. I have a motion by Councilmember Hernandez, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Noble. Call for the vote.
And motion passes unanimously.
With that, we'll go into closed session. We will return at 7 p.m. The city attorney, Mr. Summers, report out of closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The mayor and council met in closed session and considered 4 items. First was with Conference Legal Counsel regarding an item of anticipated litigation related to proposed Barstow Municipal Code interpretations residential nonconforming structure conversion, which is also an open session. There, the council asked questions of staff and council, but took no reportable action. That is item number 13 on tonight's agenda for open session. Second, the council met with the labor negotiators regarding all units and all unrepresented employees and provided direction to staff and council, but took no reportable action. Third, the council met regarding the public employee performance evaluation of the city attorney and the city attorney firm. And there, I do have reportable action with thanks and grace to the council for my 5+ years of service. We will have a shift. I am going to stay on as the assistant city attorney with primary responsibility for the Barstow International Gateway Project and working closely on that. And my colleague, Andrew Jared, will step in as city attorney, bringing his 20+ years of experience as city attorney across the state through our firm and other firms to bear for the city, and will be beginning a formal transition May 1st as the new city attorney. The same contract, same firm. We stand strong with the city. And then last, public employee performance evaluation, city manager. There, the council provided direction to staff and council, and continue that to the next meeting for further discussion. No reportable action was taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Okay, we're going to call this Barstow City Council Successor Agency, Barstow Fire Protection District, meeting to order for April 7th, 2026 at 7 p.m. I ask everyone to please stand for our invocation by Pastor James Mia. And after that, remain standing for a pledge of allegiance, and I'll ask our Councilmember Hernandez to lead us in that.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight, we ask for your spirit of unity to be present among us. Help us to put aside any personal agendas or differences and work together in harmony towards our common goals as citizens of Barstow. Remind us of the words in Psalm 133, verse 1. Behold how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell together in unity. Let this be our desire as we engage in discussions and make decisions that impact others. We trust that with your guidance and grace, we can achieve a sense of unity and work together effectively. May our words be filled with love and respect for one another, and may our actions reflect the unity we strive for. In your holy name, amen.
Place your right hand over your heart. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, may we have roll call, please?
Yes, roll call is complete and all members are present.
Thank you. Participation is invited. If you wish to be heard on any item on the agenda, including any item on the consent calendar, please so indicate by filling out a speaker request card and handing it to the city clerk prior to the agenda item being addressed. If special accommodations are required, a 48-hour notice must be handed to the city clerk. Code of Ethics, as your elected and governing board, we will remember the Code of Ethics that we voluntarily and unanimously approved. During this meeting, we will treat each other and the public with patience, civility, and courtesy. The decisions made tonight will be for the benefit of the Barstow community and not for personal gain. Review and approval of the agenda. This is the time for members of the governing board to call for rearranging the order of the agenda, adding items or removing items from the agenda, or removing items from the consent calendar for discussion and or separate action. Items may only be added to the agenda as allowed by state law, including Government Code Section 54954.2, Subdivision B, allowing emergency items to be added by a majority vote and allowing items that arose to the city's attention after the agenda posting deadline, but which require immediate action, to be added by a 2/3 vote of the council members present at the meeting, or if less than 2/3 of the council members are present, unanimous vote of those members present. I'll call for a motion.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hernandez to approve as presented, and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Noble. I'll call for the vote.
And the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have no presentations. With that, we'll move on to general non-agendized public comment. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the governing board on matters not on the agenda and within the city's jurisdiction. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes or less. All requests to speak must be received prior to the agenda item being posted, and if special accommodations are required, a 48-hour notice must be given to the city clerk. Madam Clerk?
Yes, our first speaker is Mr. Gilbert Asa.
Welcome, Mr. Asa.
I only got a few times, so let me do it this way. I want you to understand my shirt. I want you to understand it very clearly. See, I was raised with respect. Anywhere you put your head down, then we know your mom or your parents didn't teach you respect. So you look at the person. You understand?
Mr. Asa, the public,
I don't care. No.
the microphone.
It's my three. I got voice that will be loud enough.
You won't be heard by the.
Don't worry about the. You don't
Go,
worry
go,
about the mic.
go ahead and stop his minutes. I don't want him to lose time. The public on the airways won't be able to
They
hear
can
you.
hear me loud and clear. I
Okay.
guarantee you.
Okay,
You have a strong voice.
okay, please continue.
Now, what this means is that you guys have screwed me over. Many, many of times. You have packed lie after lie after lie after lie. I thought you guys took an oath before you got that seat to defend the law, domestic or foreign. And there's the first one right there. Turn your head down. Because you ain't got no, you just proved to me. They didn't teach you respect. Join the club too. You think I'm playing games? I don't care. I was taught respect. You look at the person when they're talking to you. I don't know about you people. There's every damn time lie after lie after lie. And let me tell you, finance department, let me put it this way. A collection agency is not going to call them. It's not going to call the city for what I owe. The collection agency is going to call me personally. So this bull about them calling you guys is a lie. I got you on about 15 different lies. And all it does is just build my case up. Because I want you to know. I want you to see the back before I walk away. You see it? Read it. And enjoy it.
Thank you, Mr. Asa.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ted Wiesma.
Welcome, Mr. Wisa.
Thank you. Sad to follow that presentation, but here I am. Just wanted to remind the city that you're here not to serve yourselves or the entity known as the city, but the citizens of Barstow. That's who you're supposed to represent, is the citizens of Barstow. That means the rich citizens, middle-income citizens, and the poor citizens. I want to read something, American Standard Version of the Bible. Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you did it unto one of these my brethren, and even the least, you did it unto me. So whatever you do against a citizen of this city, remember you're doing it unto Christ, according to him. I read the King James Version is, surely I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me. Hopefully we have some Christians up there. Remember that tonight if you're asked to do something against individual citizens of this town. You know, it's nice when you put labels on people. When you label them, you forget who they are. There was a person who put a label on all Jews in the past. There was a person recently who labeled all Mexicans as evil. There were people in the United States who said all blacks were evil. And now this city is considering saying all people who need housing and live in this city are bad and should be kicked out of this city. I think it's absolutely wrong to try to criminalize a person because they need some place to sleep. So again, think very strongly about your Christian background, and if you indeed are doing something against citizens of this town and not respecting the individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wisma.
Our next speaker is Ms. Sherry Bailey.
Welcome, Ms. Bailey.
Good evening. Man, what a heavy night tonight. I sent council an email earlier today in regards to what the Federal Railroad Administration General Guide to Health Effects on Transportation and Noise. And I keep going back to this 44-page report of just how can another human do this to another human? I don't understand. So I did submit a written letter, but I want to change it a little bit. Good evening, council and mayor. I'm tired. I want my life back too. 3.5 years of this, and I don't want to fight no more. We are not asking to go to legal counsel. We are trying to do this as neighbors. I'm not here to argue growth. I'm here to ask you to fully acknowledge what your own federal agencies already recognize. The Federal Railroad Administration's Guide to Health Effects Near Transportation, a 44-page federal document, is probably the shortest thing you'll read today. It clearly identifies transportation noise and vibration as public health risks, not just nuisances. This is not opinion. This is a federal level acknowledgement report. Transportation noise is a chronic stressor. It is a constant trigger. And a trigger means continuous stress response in the human body, which leads to measurable physiological and psychological harm over time. The FRA identifies impacts including sleep disturbance, cardiovascular stress, cognitive impairment, reduced quality of life. A low-frequency noise, that kind of produced by rail productions, is not just heard, it is felt into the body. Now, I ask, we are not residents just living next to this project. We are not just numbers in the EIR. This is what it means to live consistently, day in, 365 days, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Are you prepared to certify a project where federal health guidance is acknowledged, but not meaningfully integrated into the analysis of human impact? At the end of the day, this is not about growth, trains, or timelines. This is about whether people are treated as variables in a model or as human beings whose whole health actually matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey.
Our next speaker is Mr. John Zimmerman.
Welcome, Mr. Zimmerman.
Good evening, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the Barstow City Council. My name is John Zimmerman, and I'm here tonight representing the tenants of the Barstow Outlet Cannabis Complex. I appreciate the opportunity to address the council and provide an update on several matters of importance to our clients and the city. First, I'm pleased to report that all tenants of the complex have satisfied their outstanding obligations to the city of Barstow. Every operator has taken their financial responsibility seriously and made the payments in full of all fees due. Second, I want to address the matter of odor mitigation. All tenants of the complex have fully complied with the city's requirements in this regard. Importantly, this is not just simply a self-reported assertion. City staff conducted a formal site inspection on March 19th and confirmed compliance. The clients invested time, resources to implement the solutions requested, and we were gratified by the staff was able to verify those efforts firsthand. Which brings me to the ongoing odor complaints that continue to be directed at this complex. With full odor mitigation systems now confirmed, operational, and in compliance, we would respectfully suggest that the source of these complaints warrants a broader investigation. It is well understood in environmental sciences that scent does not travel miles without significant dissipation. Given that reality, and given that our tenants have been compliant, it is reasonable to conclude that complaints originated at distances far from the complex are likely attributed to other sources in the area and not the complex itself or my clients. We ask the City Council and the city staff to consider this context carefully and fairly when evaluating any further complaints tied to this complex. And lastly, now that the prior issues have been resolved, we would ask to begin working with City Council and staff on our prior discussion of modifying the development agreements with regards to the canopy and payment terms as presented several months ago here at City Council. I thank you for your time and your service to the City of Barstow, and we look forward to a continued and productive relationship with the city.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman.
Our next speaker is Ms. Dina Martel.
Welcome, Mrs. Martell.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. As you know, I'm a resident of the Sylvan Ave community as well. I'm here tonight on behalf of my medically sensitive household, which includes a disabled veteran, and on behalf of the residents in our community who will be significantly and unavoidably impacted by the BNSF BIG project. Where these impacts remain significant and unavoidable, CEQA requires full disclosure, all feasible mitigation, and clear findings supported by substantial evidence. Existing residents shouldn't be forced to bear disproportionate environmental burdens, and that's what's gonna happen. A disabled veteran shouldn't have to fight for his health, safety, and home, yet that is exactly what this has come down to. Exactly. You're going to displace a veteran who served his country honorably. No one in this community should be forced to endure serious health risks because of a project. I've heard words and phrases in this chamber: transparency, being proactive instead of reactive, and cleaning up Barstow. And that's wonderful. Believe me, it's wonderful. But I must ask you this: isn't clean air, safe water, and a healthy environment equally, if not more important? Because people's lives depend upon that, whether we're in city or county. The DIR underestimates health impacts on residents like us, and I don't valley fever, dust, vibration, noise, lighting, truck parking, traffic, diesel trains. These impacts are far more dangerous to medically sensitive disabled veterans, children, and other residents. They're underestimated in the DEIR. Water's critical concern. We're on a private domestic well, and so are about 44 other homes in Sylvan Ave. These were not included in the DEIR. They're at risk of depletion and contamination. A letter dated January 26, 26 from California Department of Fish and Wildlife warns the Hinkie hexfolate, I'm not going to pronounce it right, so excuse me. Anyways, the chromium plume could cross-contaminate wells due to hydraulic changes caused by the project operations. It could cause harm to our community, to our health, to our water. I'm going to run out of time here, so I'm just going to leave this. This is about more than this project. It's about people, health, homes, future generations. The decisions made here will affect children, grandchildren, future generations, to include yours, all of yours, long after these meetings end. Years from now, this community will still be living with the consequences of this decision. This is your legacy. Please be proactive now rather than reactive. Take the time to get this right. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. E.T. Snell.
Thank you, Mrs. Martell.
No problem at all.
Welcome, Mr. Snell.
E.T. Snell, clown community activist, www.etsnell.com. Well, you know what? I'm going to be checking out with these poor people that have to fight you clowns. You got that big old Barstow Railroad. It's like it's coming at the whole town. And these people at least got to know. I'm going to be checking them out and helping them too if I can. 1,500 acres, closed session. You guys got more tricks than a circus clown. Tex, when you were fired, or were you fired from the Barstow Unified School District? You can do this, yes. Does Soda remember? Remember the name Soda? Does that ring a bell? Yes. Anyway, so while you're out there politicking and cleaning up all the weeds, in the meantime, the railroad's getting ready to assassinate a whole bunch of people, looks like to me, on the environmental issues. You know, also, I'm still flabbergasted how you guys could do the censure of Barbara Rose. It was so corrupt and such a scam. You know, can't read my own writing. The railroad EIR needs to be attacked. And Mr. City Attorney looks more like a banjo player on Deliverance, a savant. Going to make sure it goes through just like he did with that motel out there where they took $2.5 million. Barstow has no water for the kids to play in, no shelter for the men, women, and families. Barstow has no work centers for temporary workers. Measure Q money is like a free-for-all. Mr. Nobles, come on. You're going to have your son put a roof on his gym? That's Measure Q money. Isn't that marijuana money? Wasn't that supposed to go for the kids? I mean, you guys got more tricks than a circus clown. And then you use it for the windows in the police department? Oh, that's really a burn. Yeah, and that train just looks like it's coming at the whole town. And that's not how you make the sign of the cross, Mr. Sill. It's like this. It's the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. And I asked you one time, I said, what was the sermon? You didn't know, but you went to church that day. So that's all a front for you. And I think these people need to expose this council for the corruption that they're doing. And I'm hoping that we can get aboard and make some changes, some serious changes. I'd like the police chief. I think he's doing a good job. A city manager, give me another beer. And it showed up in the log that she had a drunk driving. I might owe her an apology. I'd like to find out if she was here. Got a 502 drunk driving.
Thank you, Mr. Snell.
Our next speaker is Miss Lydia McGuire.
Welcome, Ms. McGuire.
Thank you. My issue right now is with the streets being repaired, which I love seeing all the equipment that's being set up in the markings of the road. I think it's a good time for me to bring up this topic because I've spoken with Mr. Williams about it. Armory Road, from Barstow Road to Muriel, is a highway. I see cars coming down there at 60, 65 miles from Barstow Road. 2 accidents have happened, vehicle versus pedestrian. One was a fatality, hit and run. Never read about it in the paper. I would like to see if we can think about getting a stoplight at Monterey and Armory Road. And also, Windy Pass has the same problem. From Barstow Road to Muriel, people just drive like crazy. I'd like to see a stop sign considered at Monterey and Windy Pass. Also, further up Armory to Arroyo, that would be a slow down point because once they pass Arroyo, there's no stopping them. That's how these accidents happen because the lighting is so poor. I've seen a man get killed. It must have been 2 weeks apart. I think now's the time, if they're going to make changes in the road, to consider those things. If that can be done, speed bumps would be considered. The kind that are on Muriel Road, coming to Virginia Way, that stop sign was never there. I was born here, and that stop sign was never there. But now it's needed because people just do not take the time to stop. But those little bumps in the highway seem to slow people down or wake them out of their brain fog to know they've got a stop sign coming up. I think something like that should be considered to slow these people down before another fatality happens. So that's my problem that I think I'm having. It's been about 3 years that the accident has happened, and I never did see anything about it. Nothing in the paper. It's something that needs to be addressed. The speed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGuire.
Our next speaker is Miss Anna Martinez.
Good
Welcome, Ms.
evening.
Martinez.
Thank you. Good evening, y'all. Mine is basically the same issue as Ms. McGuire's. I live on Windy Pass, and people are crazy when they drive through there, and we really honestly do need to have either speed bumps or even the yellow things that go on there. We have children who live there now, and we have kids who go to school and cross there, and traffic is horrible. It's like a freeway. It's ridiculous, and they don't slow down. My dog got killed at night because some random person, 65 miles an hour, hit the dog, kept going. If it would have been a child, what would have happened? They would have kept going. One child did get hit, and the lady kept driving until I was outside, had my phone, and then she stopped because she saw me that I was videotaping her. And then she just looked at the little boy and said, "Are you all right? You're okay." She got in her car and left. I mean, what if she would have killed that child? Because they drive 65 miles an hour without stopping. No regard for nothing. My issue is that I would really love to see, again, speed bumps or the reflector yellow things go on the road. I mean, people are crazy when they drive through there. So that's my issue, and I wish you would all consider it as well, because there are children, and they're there, and they go, even in the morning, when they're going to school. They're going like 90 miles an hour. They don't care. So please do consider it, save our kids. What if it was a child that got hit? So consider putting speed bumps or the yellow reflectors or stop lights or something, because they're stop signs, because it is not a freeway. We're residential. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
Our next speaker is Mr. Mike Hernandez.
Welcome, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, sir. I have a few items. My first item is the city attorney. Is he going to be representing the city or the big project when he leaves? And who's going to be paying him? And I hope that is not the city, because he doesn't represent the city that well. Second project is the Section 7 project. I've had people asking me what's going on. They're working all over the place and nobody's telling them anything. I thought that they had said about having a meeting with some of the property owners to let them know what's going on in the project. That hasn't been done yet. I don't know when it's going to be done or if it's going to be done. And who do the people contact in the city when they have a question as far as the Section 7 project? Is there a particular person in charge, and who's in charge? And I hope it's not Chris, because you can't ever get a hold of Chris. He's too busy. So I hope somebody is available when people call, that they can express their concerns to you. And I would like to know, so when people ask me, I can tell them, direct them to who the person is. My next problem and concern is traffic is bad. I've heard it from everybody. Lillian's just as bad. There's cars going up there like if they're running on the freeway and they're only going 2 blocks. And at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, we got people running around with motorcycles where they rev their engines and here trying to sleep, and people are making all kinds of noise. I don't know if there's a noise ordinance where people have to comply, but it would be nice to find out. And I guess that's all, because there are other items I'll talk about, but I'll talk about them when they come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Our next speaker is Miss Vanessa Pack.
Welcome, Mrs. Pack.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and city staff. My name is Vanessa Pack, and I'm the director of the Barstow Action Committee. The committee was formed under the direction and guidance of Councilmember John Tex Williams of District 4, who recognized the importance of expanding community efforts beyond a single district. The vision was to create a citywide initiative grounded in a simple belief that every part of Barstow matters. I'm here to provide an update on the work our committee has been doing. We began in District 4. What began in District 4 has grown to serve all 4 districts, as well as the surrounding county areas that directly impact our city. Our mission is to support the city of Barstow by identifying concerns, reporting them through the proper channels using the Barstow Connect app, and helping ensure they are resolved. Over the past 30 days, our team has submitted 33 service requests. I would like to publicly thank Public Works and city staff. Out of those 33 reports, only 5 remain open. That level of responsiveness demonstrates what can be accomplished when residents and the city work together. We remain committed to strengthening Barstow and will continue to serve, report, and support every district. Thank you for your time and your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pack.
Our next speaker is Mr. Jim Brown.
Welcome, Mr. Brown.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Jim Brown, Barstow. At the last council meeting, there was a gentleman that came up here and said that Rochelle Clayton had a DUI. You know me, I'm going to go looking. So I found some stuff here. Let me put my glasses on. Arrest name, Rochelle Clayton. She lives in Riverside, 51 years old. Okay. She got arrested for DUI, alcohol, and drugs. Oh, no. On August 31st, 2025. And she was arrested on Baseline Road and at the 210 freeway. And the San Bernardino County Sheriff arrested her. Now, during that time, she was on probation. Did y'all know about it? Did she tell you? So that's what y'all need to look into. Did y'all vet her? Did y'all really vet her? Because when she was working for Banning as a city manager, she had problems over there. They called her incompetent. So, and y'all have her evaluation coming up. Y'all really need to look at this. The people need to know what happened. Is this true? I know y'all in shock because I didn't tell nobody. So y'all need to do something and find out, is this true? And let the people know.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
And our last speaker is Miss Alexis Church.
Welcome, Ms. Church.
Hello. Okay, kind of nervous. It's my first time up here by myself. But city council members, I'm here tonight to speak about somebody I've known since the 3rd grade and has been one of my close friends, Miss Chelsea Phillips. What happened to Chelsea was not just wrong, it was a mistake. Chelsea Phillips was not just filling a position within Parks and Rec, she was the right person for that position. And the city has now lost somebody who is actively making it better. She was one of the strongest advocates for our youth sports in this town in many years. Not for attention, but just for the kids, especially for girls softball. At a time when it was being overlooked, pushed aside, and expected to make do with less, while other programs were prioritized, Chelsea made sure our girls were not forgotten. She didn't just talk about change, she created it. She brought consistency back to youth events. She stepped into a role that was struggling and turned it into something that this community could be proud of. Month after month, families had opportunities to come together. Events simply did not exist before she took over. So I'll ask again, when before Chelsea, who was seeing consistent monthly youth events? When before Chelsea came, did we have an all-women's adult slow pitch league? When did we last have community building events like the Mother and Me tea parties or activities for our youngest children? Those things didn't happen by accident, they happened because of her. And when the 4th of July event was at risk of falling apart because fireworks weren't ordered on time, she stepped in on her very first month of her position and made sure this community still had something to celebrate. This is what leadership looks like. Chelsea isn't someone who worked for this city, she is someone who belongs to this city. She grew up here, she played on those same fields she helped make better. She understands the needs of our youth because she was one of them. And despite all of that, despite her impact, her commitment, and her results, the city chose to let her go while she was due any day now with her firstborn child. That decision didn't just remove an employee, it removed the most dedicated and proven person for that role. And this community will feel that loss. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Church.
We have no more comment.
Thank you. With that, we have no public hearings. We'll move on to the consent calendar public comment. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the governing board on all matters on the consent calendar. Speakers are asked to limit their comments on the consent items to 3 minutes or less. All requests to speak must be received prior to the agenda item being addressed, and if special accommodations are required, a 48-hour notice must be given to the city clerk. Madam Clerk?
Yes, we have two speakers. Our first speaker is Mr. Mike Hernandez, speaking on items 5, the Measure Q Fund, item 7, the resolution authorizing the street closures, and item 8, the amendment and memorandum for the relinquishment earmark funds.
Welcome, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to, when they used to have a policy when the city's streets were being worked on, that they would put something notifying the property owners where the street's going to be worked on, that it's going to be closed. I don't know if that's going to be done, but I think it's a good idea because if you're going to affect people from getting around town or where they park their cars, they should be notified. On Measure Q, my main concern is you're using all the money that you had in Measure Q. All the reserves is gone, I presume by now. You spent over $2 million in streets. What streets were those specifically used on that $2 million? Another thing is, we get about $9.8 million a year. $9 million is dedicated to the PD and the fire district. So how are you going to pay for the other programs that are in there? The seniors, the kids, the general fund where you're taking out $1.5 million right now to pay for representation. And I'm kind of curious, how are you going to continue doing this when there are no reserves? We have limited amount of money coming in. And the programs that are using money, do they cease to exist? That's the question I'd like answered. What was the last one, number 8?
The amendment for the MOU for relinquishment of funds between the city of Barstow and San Bernardino County.
Oh, I'll have to pass on that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
Our next speaker is Mr. E.T. Snell, also speaking on items 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Welcome, Mr. Snell.
I haven't even started talking. Please don't start my time until I start talking, please. You do that all the time. That's not right.
Mayor,
You start my time over, I haven't even started talking, and she's got me down to 45 seconds.
Stop the clock, please. State your point of order.
I concur with the speaker. You're supposed to start it when he starts speaking, and so he is. I believe he's owed that time back, and I would like the council to give him his time back, and that would be for any speaker.
Not necessary for the council. I'll agree. Put it at 3 minutes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, now you can start my time. Measure Q. That isn't, Mr. Nobles, that's not a piggy bank for your family to get in roofs and their buildings and stuff. That was almost as bad as that censure you pulled on Barbara Rose and voted along with it. You know damn good and well that was a setup by Tex. You know, and how you guys found her guilty. I wish she'd go to an attorney and sue you guys myself, because that's just another way you guys pull dirty tricks. She wanted to ask her drunk
Mr. Snell, the censor's not on the agenda.
Oh. Well, all right there, Tiny Tim. Let me see, get back here to the Measure Q. That's not your guy's piggy bank. You can't just say, oh, gee, I want a new pair of shoes, and I want my son to have a new roof, and I want new windows in the police station. In the meantime, the kids don't have nothing. You guys are up there playing politics, and it's sickening, it's disgusting, and then you're messing up the environment. Well, take that Barstow thing, that railroad thing down. That's ridiculous. You guys have pimped yourself so hard on that. It's ridiculous that you got it sitting up there. It's a slap in the face to these good people here fighting the railroad on their EIR. And it's not so much the railroad, it's you clowns up there that voted to give them whatever they want. Let them have whatever they want. Give them another roof. Give them no more windows at the police station. Whatever they want, they can have. You guys are embarrassing, and you're an insult to humanity as far as I'm concerned, and I see it. Because it's terrible what you guys are doing. And Tex, you need to quit. Come on. You did much better over here. You were more honest. Because you're getting up there and you've lied to me 2 or 3 times.
Mr. Snell, what item are you discussing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor. I don't know, you know, I thought you were going to be about something when we voted for you, but see, that's not happening. Can we vote on taking that train thing down? That thing's spooky, you know. And so that Measure Q money, let's next time you dip into that, you know, I know you've got this idiot Saban over here as your city attorney. And he'll go along with anything. You can spend it on whatever you want, cockroach races or something. Maybe it'd be something new you can bring down the chute. But, yeah, let's see, what else? I hate to see you guys on Judgment Day. How many times you've lied, and this Measure Q money is no more than your own little personal piggy bank. You're robbing the kids. You're straight robbing the children. And that's disgusting. It's disgusting. It makes me want to throw up. You guys need a reckoning.
Thank you, Mr. Snell.
Oh, you're welcome there, Tiny Tim.
That is all the comments we have at this moment.
Thank you. I'm going to go to council for questions, and I'm going to ask staff on Mr. Hernandez's questions. Did you, were you able to write those down? If not, I'll get them to you. You can get with him after the meeting. Oh, go ahead. Yes, they'll be my questions I'm asking, so. First one was the policy for notification to the public on street work.
So there will be outreach done whenever we do hard closures. I believe there's some state law that governs some of that as well. Matthew can touch on that if he wants, but there is notification processes that we have to do. As you see on some of them, you'll see some of the A-frame signs or signs posted to some of the delineator cones out there saying no parking, things like that. There are some mandatory things that we have to do, and which we are doing. We are also working on doing weekly blasts out on social media and Channel 6 as well, updating everyone on what areas we are going to be in. We met with the media team today to let them know if the closures are approved, we would be doing a full publicity on the road closures as well. So that would be getting out as well. And we try to have everything done 2 weeks in advance. And so what we'll do is that the week of, we try to send that out on Fridays so that people can see it over the weekends, and then that's when we'll start on Mondays. So we try to be a couple days ahead of it, and we get weekly updates from the contractors, and we also get 2 to 3 week forecasting on the contractors on when they're going to be in areas. So we do have a bi-weekly meeting with the contractors, and it'll be tomorrow, and this is one of the items that will be talked about as well, is staying on top of putting out the information.
Thank you. I didn't write the other ones down as well. I'll talk to Mr. Hernandez after the meeting. With that, I'll have Councilmember Rose in the queue.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Hildreth, Ms. McGuire and Ms. I believe Martinez.
Those
spoke-
weren't on consent. Those were on
Oh.
public comment.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Then I'll wait for that. Thank you.
Okay. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I do need to read out the
You have
consent.
to read them out.
I'm sorry, I missed the motion.
I need to read
Oh,
out.
I'm sorry.
You need to read them out.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, okay.
Item 5 is the Measure Q Fund Financial Report for fiscal year 2025-2026, Quarter 2. The recommended action is that the City Council receive and file the Measure Q Fund Financial Report for fiscal year 2025-26, Quarter 2 as presented. Item 6 is a Community Promotional Fund application from the American Cancer Society for their Relay for Life event. The recommended action is the City Council approve Measure Q Community Promotional Funding in the amount of $1,956.86 for the American Cancer Society Relay for Life event scheduled for May 2nd, 2026 at the Robert A. Sessions Memorial Sports Park. Item 7 is a resolution 5283-2026, authorizing street closures at Virginia Way, Lillian Drive intersection, and Gray Street, Mount Vernon intersection as part of the fiscal year 25-26 street rehabilitation project. The recommended action is to adopt Resolution 5283-2026, approving the street closures beginning at 7 a.m. on Monday, April 20th, 2026, through the end of day on Friday, April 24th, 2026, at the following intersections: Virginia Way and Lillian Drive, hard road closure with proposed detour routes, Gray Street and Mount Vernon Avenue with hard road closures with proposed detour routes. Item 8 is the Amendment 2 to Agreement 15-1001118 and the Memorandum of Understanding for the relinquishment earmark funds between the City of Barstow and San Bernardino County Transportation Authority for the North First Avenue bridges over the Mojave River Overflow Project. The recommended action is 1, to accept the relinquishment of the award from San Bernardino County Transit Authority to the City of Barstow for the community project funding, congressionally directed spending, earmark funds, Attachment B, and 2, to approve Amendment 2, Attachment A, to Project Funding Agreement 15-1001118 between the City of Barstow and SBCTA. 3, to authorize the city manager or their designee to execute the Memorandum of Understanding related to the relinquishment of earmarked CPF CDS funds, and Amendment 2 to Agreement 15-1001118 between the City of Barstow and SBCTA. And 4, to authorize the Finance Department to create an expenditure account for the CPF CDS right-of-way funds with an appropriation of $2 million. Item 9 is the second reading of Ordinance 1048-2026, amending Chapter 12.40 of the Barstow Municipal Code concerning development impact fees. The recommended action is staff recommends that the City Council adopt Ordinance 1048-2026 and waive the full reading of the ordinance. And that is the end of the consent calendar, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. With that, I'll call for a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hernandez, a second by Councilmember Williams. Before we call for the vote, I'm going to go into discussion. I just want to clear something up for the public. The application for Noble Fitness was for CBDG construction money, not Measure Q, and Mr. Noble did recuse himself on that vote. Seeing no one else requesting to speak, I call for the vote.
And the motion for consent passes unanimously 5-0.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to our business action items. Item number 10, Resolution 5280-2026 of the City Council of the City of Barstow authorizing the acceptance of certain real property assets from the successor agency to the former redevelopment agency of the City of Barstow, along with certain legal obligations and approving certain related actions. The recommended action that the City Council approve Resolution 5280-2026 of the City Council of the City of Barstow authorizing the acceptance of certain real property assets from the successor agency to the former redevelopment agency of the City of Barstow, along with certain legal obligations and approving certain related actions. Mr. City Manager, Mr. Chapa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to invite Finance Director Sydney Harris to present the item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, staff presents 2 items in pursuit to retain the properties from the dissolved RDA in transfer from the successor agency to the City of Barstow. These are the last 3 final properties from the long-range property management plan. Once this transfer is complete, the city can move forward with the dissolution of the successor agency. Tonight, I'm joined by Mr. Steve Duquette from TKE Engineering as a consultant to further explain this process and the benefits the city will experience once this is complete.
Welcome, Mr. Duquette.
Thank you very much. And Sydney, you pretty much covered it, but I'll go into a little bit more depth. Just as a matter of background, my name is Steve Duquette. I'm the Managing Director of Development Services for TKE Engineering of Riverside. Last time I was in this council room was in 2011. I was working for a different consulting firm at the time, and we were trying to put forward a matter to expand the opportunities of redevelopment in this city. Of course, the state thought differently of all that, so that was the end of that. This matter may seem a little bit odd in that the successor agency, the proposal is successor agency transfer these 3 parcels, about 16.5 acres on Main Street. These are the last 3 parcels that were in the long-range property management plan, which originally had 33 parcels. 25 were public use, and they were transferred to the city for city use thereafter. 8 of them were for sale. 5 of those were sold. Interestingly, one of the 5 were transferred to the city for selling. It is not unusual this happens, by the way. I have helped several jurisdictions that were in this situation over the years in that respect. So in terms of doing development and whatnot, I've become very adept at doing redevelopment wind down services as well as surplus land act kind of services. So the idea here is there will be a transfer of the property from the successor agency to the city at no cost. And you're thinking, wait a second, what are these legal concerns? They're not complicated. What they are is ultimately when the land is sold, the net proceeds of sale will need to be transferred to the county auditor controller under the rules of the successor agency. And then the county auditor controller will then divide those funds up among the taxing entities that were represented in the old RDA target areas in accordance with the percentage that they would get from the general tax levy, which is the 1% levy. And so that those funds would be distributed that way. Another thing comes to mind, and it's covered in the staff report. This staff report tried to make it very detailed because all of this goes to the county, and I'll explain to why that happens in just a minute. There will be expenses for sale. However, the way this is structured, there's really no cost to the city because the city will recover those expenses upon sale. So those expenses will be recovered, and what's left over is the net amount, and that would go to the county. And I've actually proceeded in matters like this in this county, so they're used to seeing that. In addition, the county representatives for this county has discussed this with staff, and I've discussed it with them as well, in terms of this being a high interest for them. So there's not going to be any pushback from them. They'd like this to happen. There's already a predecessor transaction in this city that has happened. It was successful in the way it was. So they are expecting this. And in many ways, the staff report and resolutions are written in a way so that the county folks they love to swim in this detail. So they'll understand, I would hope. And so it should go well. It'll be presented to them, and I'll present this to them in the Board of Supervisors chambers in June is when it's expected to go. That's just assuming that this is approved tonight. And then once approved by the County Audit Oversight Board, then the transaction of the exchange of property can take place. But we've promised the county that it wouldn't actually it would not be transferred until they look at it. And as I point out in the staff report, actually the county doesn't have any authority to do this. However, they're the county and we're not. I've learned that lesson in this county some years and years ago. They're very friendly people. When they ask, we consider that a must, and we earn a lot of extra credit if we do that. So that's the essence of what this is about. And by the way, the number 11 almost reads the same. It's a mirror issue. The city accepts, because you have to have a certificate of acceptance to take title, and the successor agency transfers. By the way, that's all of you. You're all the same people. So we put this together, and we get this thing done, and then the property becomes the responsibility of the city. And I know you're probably asking, well, do we have a deadline for doing this? The answer is no. There is no deadline. It could be 50 years or 100 years. But I want you to know that I feel very excited about the opportunities that are about ready to occur in the general neighborhood of that land. I spoke at length with the assistant city manager about that. So I trust it'll happen sooner than that. But if we take this action now, if you take it, it eliminates this problem, and the city can get along with dissolving its successor agency, which should occur this fall. I will take care of those matters because all the debts are paid, there are no lawsuits, and there's no land. So it'd be pretty easy to do. And by the way, you've been in the situation for about 2 years, and the county was very interested in getting this done. I'm going to stop right there because you may have some questions that I can answer for you. Like I said, I've been down this road before many times in other counties, by the way, but the same concepts. So I'd be happy to.
Thank you, Mr. Duquette. I'm not seeing any questions from Councilmember Hernandez. Go ahead.
Thank you. So it's my understanding there will be a quitclaim deed.
Yes.
Right from the county.
Well, no,
It's not the county.
Yeah, the
from
quitclaim
the transfer.
The quitclaim deed is
From the RDA
from the successor agency
to the RDA to the city.
Right. The big difference between a quitclaim deed and a grant deed is that you don't get title insurance. Since it's in-house, you don't need title insurance. In other words, the successor agency should trust the city, and the city should trust the successor agency.
So that
Since
part
you are the board of both, I think you can trust one another.
So that part won't cost us anything.
No, there's no cost. And when you record, there's no cost for recording either.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, this is.
And I see the 10 and 11.
They're
transfer,
related.
Yeah, they're
absolutely related.
Right.
I can give you the same speech for 11, but that's only if you insist.
I know it's the same. All right. At one time, we asked if there was any funds or debt, and there is no debt. Everything's cleared as far as that's concerned. And
that's correct. And one of the last things the county does is they want to make sure there's no leftover money. So
right.
There will be a review. It's pretty simple. The money they talk about is what used to be tax increment. It's redevelopment property tax trust fund money. And you remember those annual ROPs you have to do, recognized obligation payment schedule. It's just a budget. They would authorize it. The state would approve it. You get the money. And so they'll want an analysis from 2012 until all the debt was paid, money in, money out, so that they're assured that there's no money left over. By the way, let's say there's $10 left over. Well, they'll ask you to send them a check. Now, I did one in another county, in this county, in Needles, and they had $145,000 negative. In other words, the city contributed, never got it back. Well, you might find this amusing, but once I found that out, because we hadn't got through the steps, I said, we can file for that, you can get it. Their reaction is, no offense to the county or Department of Finance, they said, I'm sick of these people. We're done, it's over. So that's what we did.
I would want the money.
Yeah, so they had a different situation. I would say that all my clients, and there are no exceptions, the budgets are tight. So
No, I wanted to
I would do the same thing you do.
Yeah, I want to
make
sure, because at one time we did ask, and there was some money involved.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to make sure that that had been looked at and that has been cleared.
Well, it will be done.
Okay.
During the next few months. Actually, we should get it all done by the end of the year. But there's a process you have to follow. We actually have to go to the oversight board twice.
Okay.
That seems like one too many. But I tell you what, some governmental entities, the county and certainly the state, they love process. So we'll give them what they want, even though we think it could go a lot faster.
Okay. And then the successor agency will be closed and will be done with RDA and all of that, correct?
You are going to be closed. You'll be done with everything having to do with the RDA. Now, you might remember, and I don't know the specifics, but when the dissolution of the successor, the redevelopment agency happened, there was one entity and one area of responsibility. One's the successor agency, and the other one was the successor housing agency. The successor agency is a legal entity. The successor housing agency is a responsibility. And so that would have been transferred to the city, assuming there were any resources available for affordable housing.
Right.
And there may still be. I don't know what that is specifically, but that has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
You could have millions of dollars over there, and it has nothing to do with winding down the successor agency, because the money would be used the way it was intended to be used. Most of my clients have significant revenues in that fund because they did a lot of loans. They did for multifamily housing and single-family housing, and there's payments that come in, and they reuse those funds for projects.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. We have no more questions from council. Madam Clerk, any requests to speak from public?
Yes, we have one, Mr. Mike Hernandez.
Welcome, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. My question basically is, this land that's going to be given back to us, is it zoned commercial, residential, or what is it zoned? And will it be, when it's listed for sale, will it be listed for what it can be used? Because when the property on Main Street was sold, it was sold for commercial, and the commercial businesses had moved in. So I'm kind of curious, this land that's going to be given to us, what can it be used for? And it can be used for any kind of housing projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
We have no more comment.
Okay, with that, I'll bring it back to council for questions. I'm going to ask staff or Mr. Bucket to answer the question on the zoning of the property.
Yes, it has a flexible zone designation, and as I pointed out earlier, there is no deadline for the sale of the property, and I would say that that part of town will evolve over time. There's some specific planning that's been going on in that respect, and I would suggest that this land and land around it will adapt to the needs of the area. Now, I'm speaking of this very generally, and your assistant city managers, I think, could speak probably more specifically of it, but it doesn't. It's not rock solid, and there's no requirement to keep the land zoned the way it is, or maybe it stays that way. It's hard to say. Now, I do recommend that through the sale process, there's a full description of what the conditions might be. The only thing needed to be done is to find a buyer. There's several ways of doing that. And so it depends on the environment that you'll be in when the time is right to sell those properties. Sooner is better, but don't rush to make a mistake, and I know you wouldn't do that.
Thank you. Mr. Chapa?
Thank you, Mayor. As Mr. Duckett was explaining, once this goes through this process, there's a variety of options as a city that we can do. We can hold on to this as an asset for future use, as an economic development asset. We can use it towards housing if we chose to. It all depends on what the council wants to do. I believe we still need to go through the full HCD process with these parcels. Is that accurate?
No, those are the other ones you and I were talking about.
Okay.
This is completely cleared.
So we're
It's
good.
cleared by the Housing and Community Development Department.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, forever. You never have to ask again. I like forever.
So he made me very happy when he just said that. So we are after this transition's done, staff can come back to council with a couple of options, whether it be RFP, sole user. There's a variety of things that we can do. It all depends on what council wants to do.
And if I could jump in as well, any transaction would, of course, require review and approval through a public hearing process, and of course, council consent to it. Nothing can be sold solely by staff.
Correct.
Thank you. Seeing no more questions from council, I'll call for a motion. Which is doing 10.
Mayor, I move that we.
Hold on, Councilman Hernandez chimed in before you motion. Go ahead, Councilman Hernandez.
Can we do 10 and 11 since they're basically the dual function?
My suggestion, if I could jump in, would be to run them separately. I realize they do a function, but because we're wearing two different hats, council hat and successor agency hat.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I'll take a motion on number 10.
Yes, Mayor, I so move that we move on the recommended action for item 10.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Noble, a second by Councilmember Hernandez. Seeing no one in the queue for discussion, I'll call for the vote.
And the motion on item 10 carries unanimously.
Thank you. With that, we move on to item 11, Resolution SA20-2026 of the successor agency to the former redevelopment agency of the City of Barstow, authorizing the transfer of certain real property assets from the successor agency to the former redevelopment agency of the City of Barstow to the City of Barstow, along with certain legal obligations, and approving certain related actions. Recommended action that the successor agency approve Resolution SA20-2026 of the successor agency to the former redevelopment agency to the City of Barstow, authorizing the transfer of certain real property assets from the successor agency to the former redevelopment agency of the City of Barstow to the City of Barstow, along with certain legal obligations, and approving certain related actions. Acting City Manager, Mr. Chapa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If there's any questions from council, I will invite Director Sidney Harris to respond.
Please.
The item stands as presented in coordination with item number 10 before. If you have any questions, Mr. Duquette and myself are available.
Councilman Hernandez.
The only question I have is for staff. We're doing the new general plan. What are we zoning this for at present?
I believe this property is zoned industrial.
Okay, thank you.
See no other questions. Do we have any requests to speak from the public?
We have none.
With that, I'll bring it back to council, and I'll ask for a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hernandez, a second by Councilmember Williams. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
And the motion for item 11 passes unanimously.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to item number 12, adoption.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Burkett. Adopting Resolution 5281-2026, approving the preliminary official statement and the continued disclosure certificate in connection with the insurance and the sale by the City of Barstow of its local Measure I transportation sales tax revenue certificates of participation, Series 2026. The recommended action is adopt resolution number 5281-2026 of the City Council of the City of Barstow, approving a preliminary official statement in connection with the City of Barstow Local Measure I Transportation Sales Tax Revenue Certificates of Participation, Series 2026, and authorizing the execution and delivery of the continuing disclosure certificates and the preparation of an official statement, and authorizing the execution of the necessary documents and certificates and related actions. Acting City Manager, Mr. Chapa.
Thank you, Mayor Silva. With this, I invite Finance Director Sydney Harris to present the next item.
Good evening again. So in our efforts to move closer to issuing bonds for the streets financing, we present to you tonight the preliminary official statement. This item is essentially the official statement for the bonds that is designed to clarify any information of the city for stakeholders that will be investing in this process. I have with us tonight Vanessa Lakeman. She is our bond counsel from Stradling. I believe we are also joined by Ms. Sarah Brown, who's the underwriter from Stiefel, and our municipal finance advisor, Wing C. Fox, from UFI. If we have any questions, we are available to answer those.
Okay, I see none from council. I do have one correction on a misprint. In the official statement, which is page 17 of the official statement, page 118 of the agenda item, it states there that the term of the mayor expires November 2026, and the term would expire in 2028. That's also in Appendix A, which it's correct in Appendix A, so it just needs to be corrected on page 17 of the official statement. And then on appendixes that are to come are not in there. Appendix E is supposed to be the annual comprehensive financial report. Now, I presume this is going to go online, and when it goes online, they would be able to then click to Appendix E and get to the annual financial report, because it's not in the agenda item, which I understand that would have made it very thick, and we've all reviewed it already. So is that the way it would work? It would go in there later?
Correct.
Okay. And then the Appendix F, Measure I compliance audit, same thing, that will be added to the item?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And Appendix H, the insurance, the bond insurance policy, why would we not see that today? That's not in there also.
I can answer that if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This is Wing C. Fox. I'm from UFI, serving as the city's municipal advisor. So the timing from here on out is that if the council approves the form of the preliminary official statement and continuing disclosure agreement, post sometime next week, post this official statement. But before that, we do need to wait to receive a rating. We have met with S&P, the rating agency, and we expect to receive a bond rating from them on Monday. The bond insurers, there are two of them, will provide bids or not provide bids, but they wouldn't provide them until after the rating is received. And so once they provide the bids, we evaluate them, we confirm that it is economical to use bond insurance and the debt service reserve surety, then we include all the documents.
Okay, and that leads into my next question. So since we don't have our rating yet, our rate is still in a range? Is that correct? We don't have a rate yet?
That is correct. We're still using an assumption.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you. On page 94, which is the preliminary official statement, and I've got these blanks. Is that the norm? It says local measure transportation tax revenue, and it doesn't have the amount, principal amount of.
Would you like me to respond to that one?
Oh, please, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm Vanessa Legbant. I'm a partner at Stradling.
Right.
We're bond counsel and disclosure counsel. And you are correct. The preliminary official statement will actually have quite a few blanks in it. The preliminary principal amount of the bonds will get filled in before we post, and there will be a little asterisk with a footnote that says preliminary subject to change. But we'll put that number in really at the last minute. It'll be a estimate at that time of what we think is pretty close to what the final principal amount will be.
Right.
Other provisions that relate to the final pricing will be blank when we distribute the preliminary official statement to investors. The preliminary official statement is really final other than that final pricing information, and that's why we call it preliminary. All of the substantive information about the tax revenues in the city and, all of kind of the substantive information that investors want to know about is final other than the pricing.
Okay. And then my understanding that we are only pledging Measure I funds and no other city assets. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then I have my little list here. So for staff, regarding our current payment, because my understanding is the first one will be due in December of this year.
Correct.
So what are our intent?
So right now, we've pre-planned to actually, I use this word sparingly, restrict revenues that have been received in the Measure I fund this year. We have not spent down the actual receipt of those revenues yet. I know that we have some streets planning, some spending for the projects that we've just previously approved, but those do not include the current fiscal year 2026 revenue. So the intent is to set aside those funds for the purpose of paying the first initial payment. And every year after, we will actually have the revenues from prior year set aside to pay for the principal and the interest.
I want to make sure we were being proactive in that area. The other question, it was interesting. It's in 5,000 value of certificates. Is that correct? Up to the 13 million that our intent is to borrow?
Yeah, so the $5,000 incremental value there is actually a minimum value. So the certificates will be issued in increments of 5,000 or multiples thereof. So it could be 100,000.
But in
or
5,000,
more.
yeah. But it was fascinating because I
Rounded,
didn't know,
yeah,
and I read and I went, well, that's interesting. So
Yeah, it'd be too cumbersome to go down to the penny or a smaller amount.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a standard provision.
Right. The other question I had, the prepayment. I didn't see anything in here. I think is, so I wanted to make sure my understanding was right, that we cannot prepay for 10 years?
That is the standard provision for municipal bonds, is to have a 10-year lockout period on prepayment. And that provision is actually blank in the current draft.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, we might fill in those dates before we post and use a little asterisk that says preliminary subject to change. Sometimes we do that, sometimes we don't. But it will be filled in for the final official statement, and it'll be a 10-year.
Okay, so that's going to be the norm? It couldn't be less, or? Okay. I want to make sure I get it. Let's see. Yeah, and the other question was about the rating, because I didn't see anything in here. So what's that process, getting the rating and then putting it out in the market?
So staff and the financing team have already met with the S&P analysts last week, and we are waiting for them to finish up their analysis, go to their credit committee, and we do expect to hear from them on Monday, April 13th. And then we just review the rating report for any factual errors or proprietary information. After that, the rating is released.
Do we anticipate any issues in that area?
We do not.
Okay, thank you. And the hope is for the 4% interest?
We are hoping to come in under that.
That's what I want to hear. All right, thank you. That's just all my questions.
Thank you. I see no more other questions from council. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak from the public?
Yes, I have one. Mr. Mike Hernandez.
Welcome, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. I was glad to hear that we might be tied into a 4% because the current rate being 6.5%, that does concern me. Whether that rate will be honored or not. Another thing is, when I spoke the last time concerning this, there was, when we did the last project, we had to give them $1 million to secure ahead of time. How did that finally work out? They said that we could get a bond for the amount of money that they wanted, but they never said what the cost of the bond is. Does it have to be renewed on an annual basis, or is they asking for cash up front? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez.
We have no more.
I'll bring it back to council for questions, and I'll ask that Mr. Hernandez's question regarding any upfront monies and recurring annual costs is who's best to answer that.
I can take that one. Previously, we had discussed there are some costs of issuance. They are one time. They do get rolled into the financing. So all the numbers that we have been presenting include all costs of issuance. And since we're pretty close to pricing now, the estimates are solid. And then ongoing, there are a few administrative ongoing fees, including the trustee fee for managing the funds and paying investors, collecting revenues. And there can be a continuing disclosure consultant fee to assist the city if they're not doing the continuing disclosure themselves. So we often see clients hiring third-party consultants. And in this case, we currently, UFI does the continuing disclosure for the city of Barstow. These are our minor fees. Usually, and for trustee fees, it's around $1,000, $2,000. And then for the continuing disclosure, it is also around that price per annual fee. And that's it.
Thank you. Seeing no more questions from council, do we have a motion?
Go ahead. Mayor, I so move that we move on the recommended action on item number 12.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Noble, a second by Councilmember Hernandez. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
And the motion on item 12 passes unanimously.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to item 13. 13 is adoption of City Council Resolution Number 5282-2026, adopting an interpretation in regard to a non-conforming residential property located within the Commercial C zoning district based upon a recommendation by the City of Barstow Planning Commission. The recommended action is adopt Resolution Number 5282-2026, Attachment A, adopting an interpretation of Barstow Municipal Code, Section 19.16.090B and 19.38.080 in order to provide clear objective criteria for future applications of Barstow Municipal Code by tying eligibility for enlarging, remodeling, and or structural alterations or conversions of former residential properties that meet full compliance of the Commercial C zoning standards, thereby promoting predictability and consistent administration. Acting City Manager, Mr. Chapa.
Thank you, Mayor Silva. With that, I invite Community Development Director Chris Hildreth to present this next item.
Thank you, sir. With that, though, I will defer to Ms. Genesis Crank to help give this presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I do have a presentation tied to the staff report this evening, so I will be clicking through that as we work through the information in the report. As noted, this is an interpretation request triggered by staff. In short, an interpretation request is staff looking for direction. You'll see on the very first slide, we are... What am I doing wrong? Nothing? Alrighty. So the core of this issue is staff has identified two dueling code sections within the Barstow Municipal Code, and more specifically within Title 19, which is our zoning chapter. As already noted, an interpretation and the overall section grants the City Council and Planning Commission the authority to make use determinations, meaning staff has come forward to both the Planning Commission. Their meeting on this item was conducted on February 9th. We are now in front of the council, where tonight's vote will be the final determination and the overall interpretation that staff will use to move forward. More specifically, the two municipal code chapters that are in a dual, as I like to refer to it as, is Chapter 19.38, which is our non-conforming uses. I'll detail a bit further what that looks like and what that means. And Chapter 19.16, which is our overall commercial zoning district chapter. Oops, sorry. Well, couple back. Did I do it? There we go. Now it's working. Chapter 19.38. Again, non-conforming uses is one of the chapters that we are in limbo on. And the reason being, and as noted within the staff report, the reason for identification of these dueling code sections stemmed from the submittal of what we call an administrative site plan review. More specifically for the property on 2001 Aurora Way. 2001 Aurora Way houses a residence. You will see attachments within the staff report of that existing residence and how it currently stands. The issue with the structure is it is on a commercially zoned property, meaning following our 2015 general plan update, we changed the zoning not only to this particular parcel, but those surrounding it along Aurora Way from single-family residential to commercial. With that being said, those residential structures fall into our non-conforming labeling. Now, I like to explain non-conforming as they are allowed to maintain their use, meaning when this changed back in 2015 and more realistically 2016 following all final adoptions, the residence was allowed to remain, the tenants or owners within that residence were allowed to remain. However, changes to that structure would be required to meet what the existing zoning is, and again, that's commercial. Looking at the non-conforming chapter, as you'll note on the slide, it does state, except as otherwise provided by the title, no non-conforming building, and in this particular instance, this would relate to the structure, more particularly the residential structure located at 2001 Aurora, no non-conforming building shall be enlarged, remodeled, or structurally altered unless the entire building is changed to be conforming. So in this instance, the existing residential structure, if changed, would absolutely have to meet all commercial zoning district guidelines. The commercial district chapter states no business or building shall be erected, constructed, or established on the same lot together with the building originally designed and used as a residence unless the residential structure is completely removed. In short, that means the existing residential structure at 2001 Aurora Way would be required to be fully demolished before rebuilding anything to meet the commercial zoning standards. To detail a bit further about what that administrative site plan was proposing, let me take a step back. Again, as noted, when we change the zoning of a property, and more specifically, when we change it to where it becomes non-conforming, it all stems from the zoning and land use approved. So I do want to highlight and reiterate, following our 2015 adoption of our current general plan, that is when the zoning on this particular property changed from single family to commercial. You'll note that is the existing structure at the property. And you'll see on the left picture and partially highlighted in the bottom left corner is that particular structure, 2001 Aurora Way, near the Walmart Shopping Center, hence the change to the commercial zoning district back in 2015. When we received the administrative site plan application, the proposal included converting this existing residential structure into a healthcare clinic. Healthcare clinics are allowed within the commercial zoning district. However, based upon these two dueling code sections, we were at a standstill as far as moving this application forward. Again, to recap, the commercial zoning district says that that existing structure would be required to be demolished. However, the non-conforming chapter does allude to a conversion being a possibility as long as the entirety of the structure is converted to meet all commercial design guidelines. I apologize that the verbiage isn't entirely clear, but this is the site plan that was submitted along with the application. You'll see things like the chimney stack being removed. You'll see things like the roof being modified to be more of a commercial look rather than residential. And I do want to note, if a conversion were to be entertained or approved, the applicant would still be required to meet all current commercial design guidelines, meaning the parking would still have to meet commercial design guidelines. The aesthetics, the exterior would be required to meet commercial guidelines. But again, the larger question is, would the existing structure require demolition, or would we be allowed to allow for conversion? That being said, there again are two possible interpretations. Possible interpretation 1 alludes to no business shall be established on the same lot together with the building originally designed and originally used as a residence unless the residential structure is completely removed. And again, that equates to full demolition, any commercial proposal requiring a ground up build. Possible interpretation 2, which is what the Planning Commission did opt for and recommend to the City Council following their February 9th meeting, which does allow for the conversion of a non-conforming residential structure. However, it must be converted fully to conform to all commercial design guidelines. So again, in this instance, should this interpretation be approved and taken, the applicant would then move forward with proposing. I want to emphasize on propose because the application that we've received is very preliminary. It's more so for feedback for the applicant, understanding what the City of Barstow's guidelines are, what actual formal building permits would need to be required should this be entertained. But nonetheless, this interpretation and the overall vote would allow staff the understanding of what the next steps for the applicant are. No matter what that next step looks like, the applicant would be required to submit formal building plans, formal building permit applications for review for compliance with not only local but state codes. Again, the Planning Commission has seen this item. However, the City Council's vote does serve as the final interpretation and again would give staff the direction, and not only staff but the applicant, of how to move forward and what the next steps would look like. That concludes my slide, and that covers the staff report, but I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Koenig. I see no questions from council. Madam Clerk, do we have any questions to speak from the public?
Yes, I have one. Mr. Mike Hernandez.
Welcome, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. A while back, the old Palms Cafe was converted from a restaurant into a medical office. And I presume this is what they want to do, is convert it to something else. But that was zoned commercial, so I don't know if there's a difference in it. Also, over there where I have my property on 2nd Street, that property was all rezoned from business to medical offices years ago. So if they go in and rezone this area to allow this to go in, does that change the zoning, or do they have to do a totally new kind of zoning for that area? And are the requirements that are required of them, do they have a time frame within that they would respond where they would move forward on the project? Or would it stay in limbo? Because we've had a lot of projects that have been improved by the council, but have never gone forwards. So how long, if they don't move forward, does the project actually die? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Any others?
We have none.
Okay, bring it back to council for questions. And I'm going to ask staff if you can answer that. It's regarding, the question was the rezoning, but that, well, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's already currently zoned for commercial. The only thing that is presented tonight is an interpretation in the Barstow Municipal Code where it contradicts itself on what to do with the structure itself. So the zoning is already commercial that allows this operation. It's just in regards to the structure and the interpretation in the municipal code.
Thank you. And are there any other questions from council? Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes, that gave me food for thought. If we approve the option 2 and nothing happens, where are we at in regards to the property?
So the property still exists as it is today as existing non-conforming.
So stay, yeah, non-conforming residential.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other requests to speak, I'll call for a motion.
Mayor, if I could jump in before a motion, one point the staff wanted to put on the council's consideration is, if you wished, in the resolution itself, which is packet page 187, the council resolution, at the last, you could add subject to planning commission approval to ensure that if there is an opportunity for this interpretation to be exercised, that would still be reviewed by the planning commission and not just approved at the staff level, ensuring that public hearing process. So that would be to add subject to planning commission approval at the end of section 2, top of page 187. Thank you.
Okay, if I get a motion, please clarify if you want that verbiage added.
Mayor, I so move that we go with the recommended action, interpretation number 2, with the language that the city attorney just mentioned.
I second.
Thank you. I have a motion by the Mayor Pro Tem Noble to approve with the added verbiage as recommended by the city attorney, second by Councilmember Hernandez. And any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote.
And the motion for item 13 passes unanimously with adding the verbiage at the end of section 2 to subject to planning commission approval.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to item 14, which is a discussion item. Discussion regarding the establishment of a Barstow Youth Advisory Council, and the recommended action is the mayor and city council discuss and provide direction regarding the potential creation of a Barstow Youth Advisory Council, including its purpose, structure, and implementation. And City Manager, Acting City Manager, Mr. Chapa.
Thank you, Mayor Silva. This item was originally requested by Mayor Silva that the City Council consider the formation of a Barstow Youth Advisory Council, but the purpose of the item is to initiate discussion and receive direction on whether to establish a youth-focused advisory body that will provide input on matters affecting youth in the community, encourage civic engagement, and foster leadership development among Barstow's younger residents. Mayor, I invite you, if you want to lead the discussion on this item.
Thank you. Yes, I will. So as the council is aware, very first meeting in December of '24, I made it clear that I wanted a Barstow Youth Advisory Council, and I knew we wouldn't get to it the first year. There was just too many changes happening, and now we are well into our second year. So I want to take the lead on this, and Councilmember Williams has offered to help. We will get it started this year to figure out how it's going to operate. At this time, I didn't plan on asking staff for any help. If they want to volunteer, we would welcome that. But we would do this year to seed it, to get the structure, and then hopefully be able to hand that off to the staff next year so that they can operate it and have the youth, as they used to, meet in a formal meeting under regular rules of order and bring to the council ideas to help the youth with needs, wants, and whatever. With that, I'll go to Councilmember Hernandez. Any questions or discussion?
This is more discussion, I'm throwing it out there. It's always been an issue getting them to participate. Yes, we've created it, but I don't think it has worked as it should. My throwing it out there is for the youth to come to us and tell us what their issues are. And they did at one point because the EXP representative, Mrs. Negretti, came in and said they were concerned about so many smoke shops. And we did something about that because we created an ordinance to limit. I would love to have all the schools meet. You know, they have their own organizations. What do they really want? What do they really bother? Not just the process. And even, you know, in government class, they really don't get to have an idea of how government runs. My thing would be to ask each of, you know, middle school and the high school, what are the issues with them? They know. They know what the problems are. They say, okay, the use of cannabis. The fact that the smoke shops, you know, as far as the statements have been made that they're seeing, you know, selling illegal. I would like to see them tell us, not us tell them, you know, what's bothering you, and that they have that in a free forum, and then that we can, you know, establish a youth group and somebody that wants to participate. Not, oh, well, you're going to do it or you're going to do it. And we've seen that. You know, the top students are, you know, usually the ones involved, but the ones that are really having the issues at the bottom, we never hear about them. The ones who have the drug parents, the ones that have no supervision. So that's my perspective on it, having seen, you know, when we did have a youth group, and I think it's a great idea for the mayor to want that. But my concern is what are we going to discuss?
Well, that's the purpose, is for them to, the youth to bring us their issues, not.
But then it depends on who we pick.
The meeting, the meeting would be structured by us, but they would set the agenda. And each, the ask tonight, if council wants to move forward with this, would be for each council member to get somebody and appoint somebody to that.
And that's where I'm at. I don't want to appoint somebody. I want somebody to come to me and say, I want to be on this.
Well, that would be the point. They would come to you and you would appoint.
You know, you know what I'm saying?
Get the word out, they come to you and you appoint them.
To me, I'm more than willing.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Councilmember Rose?
Thank you. So why Councilman Williams? Why not any of the others? Why? Because it sounds like we're trying to form a committee or a some kind of a committee, and there should be really a policy, some type of policy that we'll look at prior to even agreeing to this, saying this is what the structure is going to look like, these are the parameters, what's the membership and eligibility, activities and engagement, and the impact. How are we going to select them? Because I totally agree with Councilman Hernandez that we need to strive for diversity of the youth. And I wrote a couple of things down, including different genders, abilities, cultural backgrounds, and ingenious representation. And how long are they going to be on this, to be invited to be on this meeting? 1 year, 2 years? What does it look like? And, you know, I don't want it to be where we handpick somebody that's your favorite best friend's child just because. There has to be some type of fair part of this policy or guideline should be a fair and impartial selection process, or even going into the schools to ask, who do you recommend, Mr. Principal? Who do you recommend, Ms. Superintendent? And so I would like to further discuss this to make sure that what we're doing is done properly, there's guidelines, and again, it sounds like it, you know, is a committee, but I'm just curious as to why you want to select Williams and haven't, you know, thought about anybody else to your left.
Because Councilmember Williams was going to start one, so I called him in and said I'd already asked for this, so let's sit down and work on it together. That's the way it occurred.
And, you know, I think it would be great on somebody that has a better relationship with Barstow Unified School District in regards to how, you know, how that perception has gone. So I like the idea, but I think that we're a little ways from actually putting this into place because there are questions, policies, procedures, guidelines, selection committee.
I did pull up the old policies, and I apologize, I didn't get that into the agenda. I do intend to follow the prior policies that we used prior to 2020. I pulled it. It was my job to get it in the agenda, not staff, and I did not get it there.
Was this a committee in past?
Yes, Barstow Youth Advisory Committee was a city committee run by staff, met at council chambers, and ran by rules of order. And they had brought us some items to the council that we did put on the agenda and did enact to benefit the youth.
So again, remind me why we wouldn't have the staff do it immediately?
Well, again, it was asked for about 1 year and 4 months ago, and I just want to get it going.
I understand you want to get it going, but isn't there a reason? I mean, if the policy already states that staff does it, why aren't we asking staff to do it?
It will get there. I want to start it now.
I can tell you that I'm not in favor of it yet because I think that we don't have concrete anything on what it's going to look like. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak? Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak from the public?
Yes, I have one. Mr. Mike Hernandez?
Welcome, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. My only question is that when this committee is formed and they have concerns, will they be bringing them to the council at the council meeting? Or will you be directing to take them out of the council meeting? In other words, you have a committee. Are they going to be able to come up here and say, hey, this is my concerns. How are you going to address the issue? Or are you going to do it under closed session? Thank you.
I wouldn't see any reason to take anything to closed session. Can't say that wouldn't happen. That committee would be a total open session. And yes, any ideas they have, we can bring to the council. Okay, I see no one else requesting to speak. Is there any direction from council?
Mayor, I make a direction that we go forward.
Okay, so the direction would be that Councilmember Williams and I would move forward with the committee. Again, the purpose this year would be to hand it off to staff next year, and only obligation of each council member would be to pick somebody to put on that committee. Is there anybody that disagrees with that direction?
Mayor, I disagree because I think it's premature. There's no procedures, and there's no guidelines. What is the selection, the fair selection committee to make sure it's a diverse committee? I think that we need to discuss this further and bring the policies back to us so that we can review them. Without even looking at the policies and how it's reading right now, I just think this is too preliminary. And the fact that you selected one over all the others without even asking the council if anybody else wishes to be on this, I think that that's unfair, and so I don't agree with it.
Anybody else? So correct me if I'm wrong, I take that as 4 to move forward?
Subject to any other comments from the council? Yes, I believe that's 4 to move forward, and with the concerns from one noted in objection.
Okay. Councilman Williams and I will report back on how we're going to put that together. I asked each council member to use their best judgment to appoint a person to represent on that committee.
And what would be the age requirements, and do they have to be a resident of Barstow? All these are questions, Mayor. How do we select if we don't know what the criteria is?
Okay, we'll bring that back to you next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll go to public safety update, and today we have our fire chief, Mr. Cisneros.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and community. Just to give you a little brief, your firefighters have been pretty busy over the month of March. They've actually responded to a little over 590 incidents, requiring about a little over 1,300 unit responses within the community and the fire district, with about 40 of those being fire service related or fire active committed fire responses. But besides that, the rest are all remaining EMS responses, as well as public services and false alarm fire alarms. But also on the personnel front, we also do have we did onboard finally our limited term division chief, Chief English, who comes to us with over 30 years of experience from other organizations within the LA County region, which he held every rank within the fire service, including experienced fire marshal, plans examiner, as well as significant experience with the unhoused community within the LA region. So he brings a lot of wealth of knowledge, which is going to benefit his obligations as a community resilience officer within fire administration in the city. Like I said, that is the grant-funded position, which you guys graciously delegated to the fire district, and which he'll be a great asset to not only us, but the community as a whole. Also kind of noting that you guys probably did see a high-profile incident that occurred within the community, actually within the county, which is probably one of the most notable structure fires within history of a 1 million square foot commercial building that was down in the city of Ontario that occurred last night about midnight. They still have resources on scene, so it's kind of going to get hit close to home with our future, what our future may brings with our tilt-ups and modern building we're going to be entertaining here in the near future. That was a 1 million square foot square foot building, modern construction, less than about a 5-year-old building, which the fuel loading outran the fire service. In fact, there was over about 140 responders with about 20, I think a little over 20 fire engines, which required 15 ladder trucks from all of Southern California, including LA City, LA County, obviously all the region of Riverside and San Bernardino and the Inland Empire. They did reach out for resource allocation throughout the county. Us and Big Bear were the only ones that didn't participate in any form of response or move-ups to support the neighboring fire districts just due to location. So that's a notable incident still occurring at this time, which is going to be pretty notable. We did have a similar occurrence about 8 years ago in the city of Redlands with the Amazon, I don't know if you remember the Amazon building that's over there off of the 10 and Tippecanoe area, which required again, significant resource response, and it was not quite 1 million square feet, but it was a whole city block that outran the fire service and the suppression efforts, which required them to protect all the exposures. And that was a significant loss to not only Redlands, but also it's going to be a significant loss to the community of Ontario, the city of Ontario, with not only tax revenue, but also jobs and everything else that's associated with those kind of occurrences. So just kind of keep that in our forefront with our square footage coming to town in the next few years. But besides that, your firefighters have been working hard. We did have to go to a modified schedule for our firefighter paramedics, just because we're at 20% operational drawdown as far as our personnel staffing at this point. So they're being resilient and they're rebounding as much, but it is impacting them as far as their work-rest ratio and the concerns we have with their health and well-being of our employees. So appreciate your guys' support, and we're looking forward to engaging Chief English and all the needs that's required of him as part of the grant. So in the report, unless there's anything else needed.
Thank you, Chief Cisneros. I don't see any questions from council, so we'll move on to council committee reports. Councilmember Hernandez.
On April 1st, we had the street committee meeting at which we had the discussion regarding the trenching policy and the West Section 7 project. That's it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you, Mayor. I got two upcoming meetings. The 14th of April, the Military Affairs meeting at 8:30 at Los Domingos, and the 20th of April, the Victor Valley Transit Authority, and that is in Hesperia. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Williams.
I have none.
Councilmember Rose.
No reports.
Okay, with that, I attended the Mayor Pro Tem meeting in Atlanta on March 24th, along with the Mayor Pro Tem. Discussions there, the three cities in that area, Victorville, Hesperia, Apple Valley, discussing their issues with animal control and looking at a JPA for themselves, being that they border each other. Victorville's looking at a 1% sales tax. It's going to be a general fund, but their focus is on infrastructure. On April 1st, I attended the SBCTA. We did have an item on consent. Item 7 was the support for our bond, Measure I bond fund for streets, and that got approved. And on the same day, we had the street committee, already reported out by Councilmember Hernandez. And on the 2nd, we had our Homeward Bound committee meeting. And at Homeward Bound, we reported by the Assistant City Manager waiting for a study from APAC so we can finish. Apparently, we need to do an update on the job description for a homeless coordinator, and hopefully that'll be in soon. Not a lot of committees there that reported out. So that's everything I have for committees. With that, we'll move on to business of the council. Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you. First, I want to start with the electric bikes. They are all over town. Some people have helmets, some don't. Some use the streets, some use the sidewalks. So please look out for these. All ages are on them, and that I find a very serious safety issue for our community. And I think we had a discussion on that, but I wasn't sure whether we have any DMV rules or whatever in regards to that area. So, police chief, they're running amok. So I don't know what we legally can or cannot do, but we need to do something before something happens. The next issue I have is there are 5 houses between Mountain View and William Street off Muriel. I think some are fire and some, I don't know, they're abandoned. So if I could have an update on those 5 homes, I would appreciate it. The next thing is anyone sees patches in their neighborhood that are not done properly, please give us a call to the city. There is a way to resolve those issues, and from our meeting in the street committee, we will be issuing statements and complaints to the utility companies, and there is a process where hopefully we will be reimbursed if we are the ones that need to fix them. The next is the state. The state found illegal growth of cannabis. So I wish the gentleman had stayed. It was the state that came down, and I found that information out because of Mojave Air Quality. Because I asked them, and I have to say, compliment our staff. They said they've done a great job in regards to keeping the ones that we have legally certified in our community in compliance. But what I didn't find out was exactly where in that area, but the state did find it. So if Mr. Heldreth could follow up on that and find the exact locations, that seems to be the primary reason that the smell continues. But I'm happy to hear that our staff have gotten our legal ones in compliance. So tell them I'm really proud of them and that Mojave Air Quality praised them. And the next thing is the traffic. Those complaints that we have, are we required to have a traffic study? Maybe we should bring those up at the street committee. Or can we initiate, I think either way, even if we put stop signs or lights, that we're required to have a traffic study. So if you could put that on the agenda for our next street committee meeting, I would appreciate it. And I think I covered everything. Oh, I know. The surveying on Barstow Road. They were still surveying today, and so we need to find out who's doing it, because they're so far down Barstow Road, not where we're doing the construction up on Gray Street, so I don't know what they're doing. So I would appreciate it if you do that. And I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hernandez. Mayor Pro Tem Noble.
Thank you, Mayor. And you must have been looking at my notes, because I also was going to talk about the odor, which you already brought that up, and also the Monterey and Windy Pass, and looking into that. But also, can we look into the West Section 7 project? It was meant that it was talked about having a meeting to kind of discuss that. If that is the case, when is it, and can we get that out to the community? And with that, that's all I had.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Noble. Councilmember Rose.
Thank you. I would like to raise process-oriented concerns related to the vacancy of the Recreational Activities Coordinator position and the manner in which associated operational impacts were addressed. Like other members of the public, I became aware of the vacancy through informal channels rather than through the unofficial city communications channel. This circumstances indicates a potential need for evaluation and to evaluate the effectiveness and consistency of communication protocols, particularly when operational continuity may be affected. While it is fully acknowledged that personnel matters are confidential and subject to legal protections, the operational effects of the vacancy were observable in public-facing services. The timing of these impacts suggests that existing transition coverage and consistency processes may warrant review to ensure continuity of services during staffing changes. Reports from members of the public have referenced limited snack bar operations, including instances where standard operations were reportedly unavailable. Although such reports are anecdotal, they highlight potential issues related to operational readiness and service continuity, which are appropriate to evaluate from a procedural standpoint. Further, numerous members of the public have raised concerns regarding perceived differences in services involving an elected official, including reference to reported photo opportunity. Without making any determination as to the accuracy or intent of these observations, it is important to acknowledge that perceptions of unequal treatment, regardless of basis, may adversely affect public confidence in the city operations and underscore the need for consistent and clearly defined operational practices. Taken together, these circumstances suggest an opportunity to examine procedures related to advanced planning, internal coordination, role clarity, and communication pathways when staffing changes are anticipated that impact public services. As a governing board, the council's role is to ensure the appropriate frameworks are in place, including clearly defined responsibilities and consistency and contingency mechanisms to support operational continuity while respecting legal and personal related constraints. Accordingly, I believe this matter warrants a process-focused review of existing procedures with the objective of identifying opportunities for improvement and reducing the likelihood of similar services disruptions in the future. So I'm asking this council to direct the city manager to conduct a process-focused review of procedures related to staffing transitions and report back to us at a near future meeting. I also wish to formally acknowledge the correspondence submitted by a group identifying themselves as concerned residents of Barstow was reportedly received by the city clerk's office and addressed to the city council, and that correspondence is believed to be part of a public record. For purposes of transparency, I also noted that I received a copy of the same correspondence in the U.S. mail. This correspondence raises concerns related to administrative operations and executive leadership. It also contains statements and allegations presented by third parties. As elected officials, it's our responsibility to acknowledge constituent communications while also ensuring that any concerns raised, particularly those involving executive level administration, are addressed in a manner that is lawful, impartial, and consistent with due process requirements. Transparency and accountability are important principles of the municipal governance. However, they must be balanced with fairness, confidentiality obligations, and legal constraints. For these reasons, I believe it's prudent and appropriate course of action at this stage is for the council to seek guidance from legal counsel to determine whether and how any further steps may be warranted. Additionally, I am requesting a status update on the cemetery feasibility study. As the council will recall, the study was originally anticipated to be completed by the beginning of the year, after which there was a request for an extension. We are in April, and I have not seen the study, so I'm asking the council or the city manager to please let us know where we are with that study, and if it's not completed, to please provide an explanation for the delay along with an updated timeline of completion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rose. Councilmember Williams.
To staff, want to tell you guys, thank you so much for what you're doing at Ferguson Park. The field's looking amazing. I'm very impressed, very happy with it. The park looks great as well. It is absolutely beautiful. Our parks have been revamped in 1 year, every one of them, and they look fantastic. Really do appreciate you guys. Got some questions. To the police chief, update on marijuana sales, and I'll get all my questions out of the way so you guys can answer it. The edibles and marijuana sales outside of our city, and some of those inside of our city. The other thing I wanted to talk about is maybe for the fire chief. Can you please explain to me how many fires at these red tag buildings that we've had? And I know it's going to be tough for you to give me a number, but an estimated number. Then the other question I got for staff is, how many red tag buildings do we have in our community as today? then how do we, as a council, get on a distribution to find out those red tag homes? I'd like to know what's in my district. The last thing I want to do is I want to be able to track the damages caused in our parks from youth and non-housed residents, to include bathrooms at the recent Jasper Park where the fire was lit and the fixtures were broken. You know, I don't attack the non-housed residents. Some might say I do. The cost of what's going on in our city is absolutely incredible. The cost of damages. Just recently at the Dana Park, if the city we wouldn't have caught the homeless person who cut the wires to the field so they could sleep, we would have been completely in trouble on that one. The red tag on Bona Vista, the amount of prescription drugs were in that house from stolen seniors was incredible. It was huge. So if we can get, and I know the last one with going with electric bikes, I do believe one of the red tag homes was plugged the electric bike in, it overheated, and it caught the house on fire. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Councilor Williams, and I'll have the fire chief and police chief address your questions during staff reports. With that, I was also going to bring up the traffic, but not through street committee. Maybe a presentation here. I know that we have to have studies, and I believe if we put stop signs anywhere or reduce speeds below a study's recommendation, that can be considered a trap. However, hearing that someone's going 90 miles down a street, hopefully we can find a way to address that. That's, I believe, a 45-mile-per-hour zone. So, and I know that the officers can't be everywhere, but, if we can just watch that area maybe a little bit harder for a while. Other events that I attended non-committee, on the 18th of March, I attended the Together We Can. They reported out on their successful event from December, and a report on everything that the groups in that organization are doing so that they don't step on each other's times. On the 19th, I did my coaching for the EXP at Barstow High School. On March 25th, I attended the Barstow Chamber Economic Development meeting, and they are looking for a chair. I think they're looking for everybody, chair, treasurer, secretary. So call Eugene Patici at the chamber if you are interested in serving on that committee. On the 26th, I attended the President's Luncheon at Barstow Community College. On the 27th, I judged the STEM school science fair projects. And Chief Kirby, you had a person there, and I know that was the day of your, is it Barstow Bigger race? So thank you for finding at least one person that could go there and help out from the city. And amazing what some of these kids did. The one I gave the top score had one of those elevated trains. It's really interesting, and it actually elevated with the magnets off of the track. On the 27th, attended the fight night at Fort Irwin, and that was for a sport that I don't usually watch. Very, very interesting, and good to see all our young soldiers in such great shape. And 10-minute rounds. Ooh. I remember wrestling 3-minute rounds in high school. That was 10-10. That's crazy. And then on the 31st of March, I, again, at Barstow High School, did mock interviews for some very good students that are going to go very far. Amazing how they can sit across from an adult at that age, good eye contact, good communication, proper English. We got some great kids coming up. With that, we will go on to staff reports. Mr. Chapa.
Thank you, Mayor Silva. I do have a few items. As some of you may notice, I am not City Manager Rochelle Clayton. You may tell by my haircut. Ms. Clayton is currently out of the country attending her daughter's wedding, and will be back in the office on Monday, April 13th. We wish her and her family safe travels and a great celebration. I did want to talk about the Yahavitam of San Manuel Nation, who recently partnered with a nationally accredited nonprofit, Greater Hope, to help bring a renovated waiting room to their Barstow location at 610 East Main Street, which included a new paint, furniture, and a fresh, mindful design. Greater Hope provides a variety of family services, including therapeutic foster care, adoption services, and behavioral health support. We are excited to celebrate this partnership and the continuance of valuable services they bring to our community. I do want to remind everybody that our Cinco de Mayo celebration is still ready to go on April 15th at Fulkerson Park. The event will start at 11 a.m. and go until 5 p.m. We already are committing a full agenda of music and events, including ballet folklorico, mariachi, Estrellas del Desierto, and Latin Express. We have 9 food vendors and a variety of family-friendly games and activities, so please join us on the 25th at Fulkerson. And also, I did want to provide an update from public comment on March 17th from Raman Marta Evett. Ms. Evett reported during her public comment that that during the process of trying to retrieve some keys from under her car, she became stuck under her car, and was required to be it's lifted and moved to it's via ambulance to a facility. At the time, Miss Evett reported it was Barstow paramedics, EMS, that was involved in the incident. The fire chief did a great job of looking into the situation, obviously, just to see if there was any issues. What we discovered was that the fire crew was actually dispatched but canceled en route by Barstow and Desert Ambulance. The reporting party that called 911 was later identified as a passing member of the public who heard Miss Everett's cries for help and extracted her from under the vehicle in an effort to act as a good Samaritan. When the fire district crew drove past, they observed activity and stopped to assist. Assistance was declined by Desert Ambulance, who had already loaded the patient, Miss Everett, onto the ambulance gurney for transportation. Based upon the review, fire district personnel had no direct involvement in extraction of the patient or movement of the patient. We sincerely hope a full recovery for Ms. Everett, and our wishes are with her and her family. And with that, I conclude my comments. Mayor.
Thank you. And then, Chief Cisneros, did you have answers for Councilmember Williams' questions tonight, or did you want to get with him later?
I can kind of briefly give them, and I can go detailed in the future. Approximately, concerns whether the red tag facilities that we're actually engaging in fire suppression activities. So we do go on a significant amount of unoccupied buildings, which we do not know if they're red tag at the time we respond or we go on scene. Some are obviously, under, suppression efforts need to be enacted as far as active firefighting. So we don't know at that time, but we also reconcile those after the incident where we actually summons. Probably, I'd say 95 to, close to 100% of the time we're engaging building and safety. They respond whether it's during business hours or after hours, and then we reconcile whether it's been red tagged before or it needs a red tag. So some of those, we do go back on numerous occasions if the structure's still standing and unhoused occupants do find their ways back in these, avoiding or evading the red tagged summons that the building official puts on those structures. So I'd say about 75% of our, unoccupied structure fires are red tagged buildings. So we can define those numbers deeply when we can reconcile with building and safety and the community development side of things.
Thank you. And Chief Kirby, did you have answers for the questions tonight, or do you want to get back later?
No, sir, I can answer most of those questions tonight. So the update on the marijuana sales. So what we've done in the past is we have conducted undercover operations. In the most, I think we've had 2, maybe 3 recent complaints. We've reached out to the people responsible for the marijuana. I believe they have all been businesses, and they're delivering in our town. They don't have a business license. So we've notified them of the requirements that they need to do to be able to deliver in town. And then if they continue to deliver, the plan is to do additional undercover operations. And then they'll be cited or arrested. And depending on who they're delivering to, that's either a misdemeanor or a felony. Number of red tag buildings, I'm not sure that was for me, but I can tell you that we have an officer that was at one point working on with the unhoused population and the vacant homes full-time because of manpower issues. He has been pulled back to patrol, but he still works on that in between calls, and he comes in a couple hours extra a week to address those issues. So he's keeping up on that. He gets a list. I think the list has 64 locations. Some of those locations have multiple apartments associated with them, so he checks that list on a regular basis. I think that'll also cover one of Council Member Hernandez's issues with the 5 houses between, or on Lillian, the vacant homes. So I'll have him check that area, and we'll work with code enforcement on those issues. I believe track damages in the park. Obviously, we'll work with code enforcement, and we'll be a part of gathering that information, and we can present that to you. Electric bikes, I know, was brought up regarding the fire. I don't recall that incident specifically. And then the other issue with electric bikes is what we can do there is provide some training to the officers and then start conducting some directed enforcement. As far as what the bike or the rider has to have, it just depends. There's several different categories. So that's going to be some additional training to the department that we'll provide. And as far as the traffic issues, and I think everybody touched on that just a little bit, we can deploy our radar trailer, our decoy car. We can increase enforcement. As a matter of fact, I had a meeting with the CHP captain yesterday, and we've talked about working together on specific problem areas within the city as far as they'll partner with us to conduct enforcement action.
Perfect.
I believe that covered everything.
Thank you. Yes, so by consensus of the members, without objection, this meeting will be adjourned at 9:20 p.m.